All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Manifold Player Appreciation Open. Yep, we are going. There we go. Getting everything all recombobulated for the second round. All right. So, welcome back. This is round 2 of the Player Appreciation Open, the second one, here at Aegis Games in Bellingham, Washington. My name's Adam.
And I'm Jesse.
And we are here to watch Nick and Danielle play for glory and honor and stuff. And money.
And some money.
Yes, but also the glory and also the honor.
Glory and the honor is truly the most important part. And someone's got to take the world championship belt from Noble.
I see what's going on. That's what's going on. I see. Yes, that's the most important part. Is Noble, who won last round, also won the first one. And so someone is going to play him, and either he's going to be in the finals, and it'll be very exciting, or he's going to get knocked out, and everyone will cheer. All right, so anyway, in round 2 here, we got Dado Ramarand being piloted by Nick, which is he's got 6 locales, he should only have 5, which is a classic red-blue pairing against Rilo E-Emergent, a classic red-yellow pairing.
Indeed.
Let's see. So,
yes.
One sec for you go ahead and say something.
Yeah.
Fix something.
So here we see one of the more kind of classic aggressive decks of the format in Rilo E-Emergent. Really is just going to seek to produce a ton of damage. As we see, with. I believe that's, is that a Mercurial costume? Just came down?
Yeah.
Rilo?
So, let's go through what these decks look like and how they work a little bit. So, on the bottom here we have Danielle playing E-Emergent Rilo. To start off with, E-Emergent here says whenever you attach something to one of your guys, you get to activate them immediately. Which means, E-Emergent goes fast. Really, really, really fast.
Really fast when you roll 8 damage, just like that.
Wow. Yep. And E-Emergent here backed up by Rilo Octane, who is the damage boy.
That he is.
Yeah, when activated,
damage man.
He takes damage in order to modify one to a side showing damage.
But he doesn't care because you're dead first.
Yeah, exactly. This is probably the most aggressive deck that you can be playing.
Yeah, it's you could make arguments for other Rilo builds, but
this is a pretty...
But the amount of efficiency that you get from putting these attachments like Mercurial Costume onto a character, activating it at the beginning of the round, rolling 8 damage on your first activation, and then just going to town from there, really.
Yeah. So Mercurial Costume here is just a bunch of dice. Nothing special.
Yeah.
And so if your first action in the game is play Mercurial Costume on Rilo and then just immediately activate it, you're going to roll a bunch of dice, they're going to turn into damage.
Yeah, and so...
Yep.
This, Okay.
Looks like we're going to round 2.
Yeah, and the Dado Ramarand deck is definitely more kind of on the mid-rangey side of things, I would say. So what's your assessment of that kind of strategy?
Come on, card fetcher. There we go. So Dado 14 here rolls pretty bad dice. 2 white dice is pretty below average, but he says when activated, if you don't have a Sentinel, you get to make one. Sentinel tokens are great. They activate to deal 1 damage to a hero, which turns out very good.
Dado also has a very powerful energy ability that allows you to turn those white dice into damage more efficiently.
Yeah.
Kind of like we were talking about last round with Eurus.
And in red, the color red, you have a bunch of little guys, bunch of little servos, bunch of guys that make Sentinel tokens that are great to sacrifice to blue cards like Ramarand Ulysses here. So Ramarand says when activated, you may sack a support character to roll yellow, which is quite good. He rolls 3 premium dice just red, purple, and also a yellow dice. And so you can activate... the stream went away. That's fun. That's probably not intentional. We'll work on fixing that. There we go. So activate... It's grabbing the wrong thing.
Okay.
Dado activates, rolls 2 white dice, makes a Sentinel, and then you immediately sacrifice it to Ramarand. So the hero line there rolls a bunch of dice.
Yeah, basically you've got a lot of premium dice, very high replacement value. You don't actually, there's effectively no downside to using Ramarand's ability to create more yellow dice because you are just creating a free Sentinel every turn.
Yes.
And so you're just kind of looking to create a robust dice pool to get yourself ahead of your opponent. And so really for this Ramarand Dado deck, it's just kind of going to try and weather the storm, see if it can, if you can have, I think Ramarand in particular, survive the first few rounds,
especially against this aggro deck.
Then you are pretty likely to be able to turn the corner and have kind of... my goodness.
That is a great meltdown.
That was colossally good for Nick.
So going into round 2, we see a Fragmentation Grenade played on E-Emergent activating it, probably because Danielle wanted to play something else, probably swiftly on... probably Hidden Blade, swiftly on Rilo, activate it, and then resolve some damage. But because that didn't go immediately on the Mercurial Costume, that Mercurial Costume got removed for Nick's first action, which is
Meltdown.
Awesome. Meltdown. So trading 3 gems for their 5 is great.
And so this is one of the instances where, you get to really kind of see the impact of choosing the order in which you activate your objects.
Yeah, because if Danielle had put that frag grenade on Rilo,
then you get all the dice, and it is not nearly as crushing of a blow.
Yes.
But now Danielle's used almost all of her gems, and is simply not going to create...
There's a chance Ramarand doesn't die here.
There's a chance Ramarand actually survives this round, depending on what Nick has.
Revenant's probably not going to do it.
Not going to do it. However, it could actually spell death for Rilo.
Yes.
And in the world where Rilo gets traded for Ramarand, I think that Nick actually comes out ahead pretty significantly in this situation.
Yeah. Because
he has a much stronger board at this point.
Yeah, that's true. So it looks like before activating the Revenant, Nick chose instead to activate Ramarand, sacrificing Revenant, shooting 3 damage, just because Danielle was able to line up 6 damage in her pool. Nick isn't going to be able to stop it, so that 6 damage is going to go straight for Ramarand. Oh, it looks like Danielle's going to overcharge even. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
That's actually quite good, using your gems efficiently.
So overcharge here resolves physical damage at +2, meaning if she had just done 6 damage, the overcharge would have been sitting in her hand with no physical damage to use.
Indeed.
So instead, she's getting...
go ahead and get the value in as soon as you can. That 2 damage, at this point, particularly when you're kind of anticipating that Rilo dies this turn.
There's no way Rilo dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Sleight of hand's really good.
Sleight of hand's fantastic. You really do need every point of damage because once Rilo's gone, your most powerful way to reach.
Yes.
Not getting a third Rilo activation is a pretty significant problem.
So there's this really neat thing that's going on here where Nick both killed the Mercurial Costume and then killed Rilo. A lot of times, people will stack up a bunch of attachments on Rilo, and then Rilo will die, and they're left with nothing in play. But since Nick both put gems into making Rilo smaller, and Danielle put something on E-Emergent, we're looking at a board state where Danielle isn't actually as far.
Yeah, Danielle
that she could be.
If Danielle had
put fragments
by putting it's an interesting give and take.
It's very
because then Dado is probably at 10.
Yeah.
At the end of this round, and that
it's worse.
Is significantly worse.
Yeah, but then Nick would have had 3 more gems worth something, right?
Yes, yeah.
So there is a world where, what we're saying is there's a world where Danielle starts the round by going frag grenades on Rilo activate. And then when Rilo dies, Nick didn't have to meltdown, but...
Then when Rilo dies, if Nick can survive the first activation or the first activation of round 3, then Nick is almost guaranteed to win the game.
Yes. But here we have a more robust board state.
Yeah,
so we've got Dado at 12 with a Sentinel, a Federation Battle Mage, and a Chief Operator against E-Emergent with a frag grenades on him. Yeah, who do you think is favored to win here?
I think that the combination of the Dado Ramarand deck having better answers and the ability to play a little bit more reactively here, and the fact that Nick has a generally larger board presence puts him slightly ahead. However, if Danielle plays a couple of attachments, it looks like the kind of scenario in which Danielle becomes ahead is when she would roll like 8-10 damage on these dice.
Yes.
And failed to do so. So now I would say that pretty definitively Nick is ahead in this position.
Danielle doesn't really have any way to take this, and she's not winning the game this round.
Yeah, and she might be able to have E-Emergent survive. We've got a lot of shield faces.
And for what it's worth, then next round going like Chain Plasma Rifle, Hidden Blade, activate. Does do. E-Emergent is very good with
both to do it. Yes, absolutely.
So we've got Danielle rolling a bunch of dice. They're not all damage, and Nick trails one of them. So it looks like Danielle's definitely not winning this round, which means now Nick is in the position of maximizing damage and doing everything he can to not die at the top of round 3.
Sure that you are insulated from losing the game on the first act, to the point that perhaps
you're giving up damage,
digging into to guarantee that you actually get an opportunity to act before Danielle next turn or next round.
Yeah, I think Nick has 10 more actions to do, and you don't want to give those.
You don't want to give those up, but if Danielle does any amount of if
Danielle spends these gems for anything, you're scared.
Yeah, exactly.
But I have a sinking suspicion Danielle is not going to spend these gems. She's just going to dig in. And
in fact, it looks like she already has.
No, I think that she's got a shield dice.
Got it.
Yeah, so she's just doing the take damage, shield, take damage, shield, take damage, dig in.
Rounds tend to look.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nick still has some unspent gems here. Not representing too many different things. I believe, there's a couple of 1-drops. 1-drop.
Yeah, you got Raid for Servo. You've got Surveillance Drone, probably.
But, I'm not seeing Surveillance Drone.
Yeah, okay. That's...
But Clothbound Apprentice.
Yeah, not for... Yeah, because he's got red and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 drops are on the table as well. I think that Nick is going to... Yeah, he's going to draw some cards. He's got some shield. Federation Battle Mage stage. Battle Mage is quite good. Activate that, roll. Yeah, so Nick's just kind of playing all the cards in his hand, activating them, rolling dice, maybe drawing some cards. But for the most part, just...
Missing a face on that purple die is unfortunate.
Yeah, because if that was... It looks like he's just going to discard to reset it.
Yeah.
That's one modifies, not great.
Yellow looks...
Yeah, so again, Nick's just trying to do as much as possible here in order to try to finish the game before Danielle can pull some crazy damage out. But it looks like that's not going to happen. Okay, so...
It's pretty unlikely.
Nick rolled relatively poorly, didn't really have that much to do. So it looks like we're going into round... looks like going into round 4 with 10 to 14 life, which is like more than I expected.
Which makes it almost impossible for Danielle to win the game. I think literally impossible to win the game in an activation.
In one activation, that's probably true.
I guess it's technically... I can't remember. Let's see. It looks like actually we're rolling mostly mental damage if we were to roll 8 mental damage off of a Hidden Blade and then overcharge... Or no, overcharge doesn't overcharge mental damage. Yeah, I don't believe that Danielle can win the game in an activation, which leaves Nick in a very safe position because cards like Protection of Belief become very effective at stopping the onslaught. And, if this turn gets
I see what happened.
Kind of play out.
Nick dug in. Danielle was waiting to dig in to damage. But Nick just gave up a bunch of dice. I mean, all the dice were mostly blank.
Yeah.
But he still got to dig in, which means he's playing Revenant, which is like pretty huge.
Huge deal here.
So it looks like Fragmentation Grenade, played for Danielle.
It's going to blow up
which is going to take the shield off of Dado and then immediately activate Emergent. So Danielle has one card in hand, one or two, probably one.
Pretty unfortunate roll for Danielle here.
And Frag Grenade take off a shield is like not great dice as well as a not great use of the 2 damage. I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong. I'm saying that's not the stats. She needs just raw damage, raw stats.
As
much as
Mercurial costume would.
Yeah, exactly.
Better in this spot
because she's got the gems. She just needs to be able to use them for anything.
Yeah.
So Blessed Mender coming out for Nyx. So there's Nyx deck has a bunch of cool tricks. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I played against him last night with this deck, and there's some neat stuff you can do. So, Chief Operator, which I'll pull up here, is a weird card that no one plays, except Nick loves it and does wonders with it. Whenever a server arrives under your control, you can activate it. So, that means when you activate Dado, especially when activating Dado with Blessed Mender on it, sacrifices something. You can stack the triggers so that you activate Dado. You point to Blessed Mender and sack the Sentinel. You create a Sentinel with Dado, and then you activate it with Chief Operator. And in one activation, you can do a bunch of stuff.
4 dice. You've taken a shield off of something.
Heal 2.
You've healed 2.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very...
There's some other weird, cool tricks where you can, sacrifice stuff to Ramarand, or I guess that's not exactly what I'm going for here. Really, the point is, being able to activate your Sentinel that you're creating and immediately sacrificing with Dado. If there wasn't a Sentinel in here, right? You could activate Dado, make a Sentinel, sack it to Blessed Mender. Being able to just immediately activate it with Chief Operator in the middle of that, it's actually really powerful.
Indeed.
And Blessed Mender here to start clawing some health back is awful for Danielle. And look at this. She's got a second roll. I didn't mention this a little bit ago. She didn't roll damage for a second time.
Yeah.
Right? Last round, she could have rolled 8 more damage. And this round, she could have rolled 10 more damage. She didn't.
I mean, I think she's rolled something along the lines of 8 blanks on premium dice.
Yeah.
In the last 3 opportunities to roll dice, which is pretty catastrophically unlucky in this situation.
Yes.
Especially
because
you would need to hit very hard to actually just find lethal.
Yes.
But this level of fail state is quite improbable and quite unfortunate for Danielle.
Yeah. And something about about her specific build is she doesn't roll any green dice, which means she's not drawing many cards. And so she gets 2 cards around, which means long story short, she's not discarding a bunch of cards to reroll her dice.
Absolutely.
So blanks are actually
blanks
really
are very bad
in a way that a lot of other decks can get around.
And you make enough premium dice that you just kind of hope that you're not, and you make both enough purple dice and enough premium dice that you just kind of hope you're not going to miss this hard.
And you're playing Radar Servo to turn your purple dice into Modify 2. You're playing Spotter Scope to turn your blanks into damage. You have a bunch of ways to get around. You're playing a Battle Ready probably in order to Modify 2.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which, what's Sabotage 2?
Sabotage 2.
Yeah, on a reroll. On this 2 blue dice.
Which is going to take away a lot of Nick's options.
I mean, I don't think Nick's winning this round. Again.
I doubt either. Although...
I think Nick is in a better and better position the later this game goes.
Oh, absolutely. And so even if you're not necessarily winning right now, you still don't have to be too worried.
Yeah. Danielle rolled Sabotage 2 and then played a Search and Destroy. Sabotaging another 2. So games on
Modify 2 kind of breaks this game wide open. No, okay.
Yeah, that's true. But we're in a spot where yeah, Nick's just going to do like some damage, but not lethal. And then we're going to go to the next round.
And
Danielle will get to dig in.
Honestly,
this makes it better for Danielle. All she needs to do is draw a Hidden Blade and like roll a bunch of damage. The card I'm talking about, by the way, Hidden Blade, is really powerful with E-Emergent. You play it swiftly, and it removes a shield. And the trick is, then you point to E-Emergent's trigger and activate E-Emergent. And since playing Hidden Blade with Swift, it's now still your turn. So the E-Emergent player gets to both create damage, remove a shield, and then resolve that damage on the spot. And so you get these neat scenarios, usually earlier in the game with when you still have Rilo in play, where you can like play a Hidden Blade, activate your Rilo, make, a bunch of dice, turn 2 of them to damage, you have a spotter scope in play, roll an energy, use that energy to swiftly activate E-Emergent, and now you've made 8 or 10.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how
it's pretty sweet.
How a first turn went, often at the beginning of round 2.
Yeah, you can
just kill a hero if you can Hidden Blade and unload.
And Hidden Blade here might. I mean, there's no shield. That activating play it swiftly activate. Oh, and Ambush does a similar thing.
Ambush.
So Ambush plays 2 different roles in this E-Emergent Rilo deck. Here you get to just play Ambush swiftly, do the same thing that I just said with Hidden Blade. But also, Ambush is a 4th attachment. So in Manifold, you can only have 3 attachments on any object. And that matters a lot when you only have 1 hero to put stuff on, because you'll notice that there's 3 attachments there. If this was some hero costume or whatever, then you'll be having to sacrifice one of her other attachments. But Ambush here grows your guy while not taking up a slot. And so what did Danielle roll? We got a 2 damage, we have a shield, we have a Modify 2. Modify 2 is huge. So Danielle, it looks like, is making at least 6 damage. Maybe
this is another Blessed Render, and I do believe that is going to spell the end of the game, Danielle.
So back to Blessed Mender here. When activated, sack something else, sack another character to heal to. When you got 2 Sentinels, and Dato, again, makes more Sentinels, Nick's going to be able to keep healing 4 every round, and Danielle's going to deal 6. And turns out, being at 11 on that Dato, having that much health means she's not going to be able to race that.
As soon as this becomes a difference of 14 to 7, 15 to 7,
yes.
The game just becomes a bit out of reach when you only have your hero with some attachments on it in play. That's really one of the downsides of this Rilo Emergent deck, is that it does have the ability to just sort of fizzle out, because over the course of the game it really does not develop a board state and is very, very reliant on its heroes to remain alive.
Yeah, you'll notice that we're in round 6 or something. 5 or 6. The point is, this is late game for Manifold, and Danielle still only has 1 object with some attachments on it.
Yes.
Nick, meanwhile, has a whole pile of stuff. That Alpha Strike. Okay, we got an Alpha Strike down to 4 here, but that's not enough. And so, the 2 Blessed Mender, the second. Well, I guess both Blessed Mender here, healing 2, total of 6 so far, has meant the whole game, right? No,
Revenant.
I see. We didn't do the second heal 4 yet. My bad. So now being at 8, putting Emergent down to 4. This is probably just lethal this round. Danielle digs in. Did she shielded?
She might have had to die because she has a shield 2-face, so I have to assume that she...
Yeah. Never mind. I just didn't see the shield dice that she moved away. Great. Still fine. Nick still got... Remember that he can spend energy and remove a white dice to deal 2 damage. So, kind of, he's got 1 mental showing on that white dice and 1 energy. It's kind of like 2 damage there. He's probably going to be able to push through enough to take away the shields and then deal 4.
It would have to be some pretty impressively poor rolling combined with no cards in hand in order to not produce enough damage.
Yeah. And this modify 1 modifies the other purple dice to modify 2. Yeah, so he's going to resolve 1 damage. Danielle will
Oh, Danielle's not dug.
Do something. Oh, play it too cute to die.
Too cute to die.
Cool.
Okay, this is actually so Scar has text in this situation.
Too cute to die says a rival shield attached character and rolls 2 premium dice, so that both grows her chances of alpha striking next turn working and shields again here. That's actually not terrible.
No, it is a thread of hope.
Yeah.
Playing to.
Nick's got a bunch of sabotage. That doesn't matter. Well, I guess just 1 sabotage. And so really my point is that's not damage.
Yes.
Nick needs to just re-roll some of these dice into damage, modify them into damage. He needs he needs 2 sources of damage plus 4. Can he get there just on board? Probably has to re-roll a couple times, yeah.
Yeah.
Discard to re-roll. And we got one. We hit
the modify.
We hit the modify. We hit a bunch of other source things. That's going to be lethal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Follow the trail, modify.
Take cover. So I don't think this will be enough, but it is sweet that Danielle's playing take cover.
Yeah.
So eat some damage there.
Yeah, but this is
resolve damage, dig in, resolve damage, take it off, and then modify 2 into damage, mental, and then deal 4 mental. Should be lethal, because 1 is going to take it off there. The blue energy is going to remove the white energy in order to deal 2 damage with Data's ability, and then resolve 2. And that's going to be actually Exacxes, right?
Yes, indeed.
Which is a bit unfortunate for Danielle. There is a world where, Danielle draws Hidden Blade Chain Plasma.
Yeah, I mean, Danielle had pretty much every trick up her sleeve that she possibly could in that scenario. And you know, again, it's like finding those 8 or 10 blanks on some premium dice in the course of the end of a round and the beginning of a next round, very much could have swung the outcome of this game. But Nick did really play pretty tightly to close it out here.
Yeah, there were some really close,
very thin margins.
Yes. There is a whole thing to say there about Danielle's deck choice. She's just trying to burn your opponent to the ground without ever caring about much else.
Yes.
And so there's definitely, when you play a deck as aggressive and linear as Danielle's, you're going to have games where you just rolled poorly and that's that. You don't have the tools to really modify your stuff so much. Instead of playing tools to smooth out your variance, you're just playing more damage.
Yeah.
And so part of Danielle's lack of damage here was just the variance that's inherent in playing an aggressive deck like this. Anything else you want to say about this matchup? I think this, we didn't get to see the coolest tricks of Nick's deck, but we definitely got to see the Blessed Mender, Chief Operator, Sentinel thing kind of actually matter.
And I think that this match really did kind of showcase the highlights of each of these decks and their shortcomings.
Yeah, totally. Like you said, Nick just needs to weather the storm.
Nick just needs to find any amount of advantage, survive the opening salvo, and he did barely. And that was
what
enough. But we also saw, with kind of the outcome of trading Ramaran for Rilo, what that means for each deck, and how, in a scenario in which Rilo survived on the single point of health, that game looks incredibly different, or Ramaran survives on a single, there's a lot of very small margins in matchups like these.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, so I think that is I've got a couple messages from the room the players were talking in, that Nick says is the first time he's beaten Danielle's deck in a month. And I don't think that means literally Danielle, but the Rilo emergent deck is
which is pretty commonly played.
It's very commonly played, yeah. And so having the game where you are playing for money be the one where you win seems like a good place to be.
Nick figuring out how to win when it matters.
Yeah, and unfortunately part of that is your opponent not rolling damage.
Yes, but unfortunately that is one of the factors in a dice game.
Yeah, that, as it turns out, is. All right, cool. Well, thanks for watching along with us. We got another 20 minutes until the next round, and we unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, we have a mill control deck in the room, which means last round they went to time and they actually got a draw. And so this might end up being a long round as well. But either way, at maximum,
Do we have a lunch break after this round, or is it
that's after round 3.
Okay.
So stick around. We'll be back in like 20 minutes with round 3 of the second Player Appreciation Open here at Aegis Games in Bellingham. Thanks for hanging out. See you in a little bit.